Hello, everyone. We are back after a couple of sessions off here. If you are just joining us, we are live from the apocalypse, where we play tabletop role playing games to benefit nonprofits, aid organizations, and other charitable causes. Uh, we ask that if you are liking what you see here, and we hope you do, that rather than subscribing, giving us bits or any of the normal Twitch corporate script stuff, that you instead take that money and donate it directly to the organizations that we are fundraising for. This stream is going to be raising money for the International Rescue Committee, which helps people affected by humanitarian crises. Founded at the call of Albert Einstein in 1933, the IRC is now at work in over 40 crisis-affected countries, as well as communities throughout Europe and the Americas, including the United States, because that is the planet that we are living on. So, if at any point you would like to donate, you can type !donate in the chat. Our bot will post the link, and you can make the McElroy brothers yell at us and interrupt whatever serious scene we were having at that time. We also have a lot of channel points you can use to unlock our various emotes without subscribing, as well as to interact with and influence the stream in other ways. And I think that covers all of our housekeeping. So without further ado, I think let's get into some reintroductions here. I'm just going to go left to right along the bottom of the stream window here. So, Will, do you want to start us off?
It's like left.
Ooh, fancy.
I missed one thing. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Will. I am playing tonight. I am playing Ephraim East, a name that some of you may recognize as the once gym leader of Esper Bay. I am not playing this guy. I just forgot to hide him. And yeah. I guess that's most of what I do here. I run a bunch of other stuff. I run Class Reunion, which is another one of the games that happens on Tuesdays. Come back for that next week. And Academy H, which we just had on Sunday. It's also a podcast. Listen to Academy H on all of your podcast platforms. Tomorrow night, actually, I do have a thing to plug for once. That's not our normal stuff. Tomorrow night, come on back here at 8:30. I'm going to be running a game set in the vastly superior small monster universe of Digimon.
Wow.
And
wow.
Just gonna throw that grenade into the chat.
Just being honest.
Diggity dang.
Controversy drives engagement. So so come back for Undestined tomorrow night. It's a 2-part show. First session is tomorrow night. We have some really great guests joining us, and it uses a system that I have been working on and that I have created myself called Nightlights, which is it's been a lot of fun, and I'm hoping it works out well, and it'll improve in the future if it doesn't work out well. So see you tomorrow for that. And that's it for me.
Hi. Am I going to come up on the big? Yeah, I'm on the big screen. Hi, I'm Heather. You might know me from. Usually, I am Estelle East, this lovely old lady on that direction of the screen. But tonight I'm going to be playing Edgar Esper, her father, because we're going back in time.
Body.
Into the time warp. I also play Stan on our podcast, Cryptid Community College. And if you haven't been listening to that, you should. It is unfortunately our very early efforts, so enjoy our lovely pre-audio.
We are all intensely self-conscious about this.
Yeah, literally, I just every time an episode comes out, I'm like, Brendan, oh no. But you know what? It is actually still a lot of fun, and I love listening to it myself just because I remember all the good times we had making it over the pandemic. And then I am also on our opposing night, Wednesday nights, Dungeons and Doggos TTRPG, which is titled Fetch Quest, Making Fetch Happen. I have to give you the subtitle, because if I don't, my partner makes me sleep on the couch. So they're trying real hard to make fetch happen.
That's been documented now.
It's been documented now. Also, it super bothers me that my camera's flipped around right now. I have no idea why.
But you got to tell me that stuff. I can fix it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Have fun.
Is that it? Are you done?
I am, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe, probably. For now.
We're gonna go with yes. Oh God. All right.
Oh.
Things are happening. There we go.
All right.
All right. Hi, I am Liz. I usually play Billy Baker, but tonight I am playing Lieutenant Peggy DeWick, who is his grandmother, and a great example of just how much Billy's dad weighed in on ruining a history of perfectly competent people in that family. But outside of this, you can find me at Iron Echo Games on Twitter, as long as that lasts, and assuming it survives the ego of a dipshit billionaire. And at iron-echo-games.itch.io if you want to look up anything I've designed, because I do also design some games. And that is me.
That one's safe from billionaires for the time being.
Yeah, currently.
What
It has standards so far.
Don't just knock on wood or something. There you go. Keep the billionaires away the same way we used to keep the evil spirits away. Throw salt.
hang a horseshoe over the door to keep the Bezos away.
Yes, please.
Can someone edit that clip from Hocus Pocus of when they throw salt on the floor, but put Elon Musk's face over Bette Midler's?
Go, internet, go. I mean,
do your thing.
And I suppose it is me now. Yes, hello, I am Brendan. I am the Game Master. I was also the Game Master last time. My title has not changed. Though I am the reason why everyone else's titles are changing, because I decided, hey, all of you, I appreciate you bearing with me through this very strange Pokemon game that I have been running. But hear me out. What if I made it even weirder? And because my players are excellent, they are humoring me as best they can, better than anyone could be expected to. When I am not just doing utter shenanigans in this game, I also play Victory, Alex Sandowski in Academy H every other Sunday. And I also ran the aforementioned Encrypted Community College, which was not streamed, but is currently releasing on most major podcatchers every week. I think we have a new episode coming out this Thursday, I want to say.
We do.
Yeah, you guys, you should check it out if you haven't listened yet. It's starting to get some kind of a slow burn start, but things getting real spooky real fast. Up in Cavern Springs, West Virginia. And they will only continue to get spookier into the future. It cannot be stopped. And that's, I think, it from me.
We did it.
Yeah!
We did it! All right, that's it. And
we got there, everybody. So, we pick up in a different place from where we usually do. We had previously left off. The crew were gathered around the gym with an NPC whose name I made up, Kaz Grabbins, the unforgettable Kaz Grabbins, performing a seance with Estelle's Haunter, because Haunter has been acting strangely for a while. And it became apparent that Haunter was trying to communicate something. So they began this seance, and this is sort of the scene that is kind of playing out for everybody. Something happened a long time ago. Very different place. We pick up
Yeah, Justin,
had
fucking
fun.
grip
So-
it, grip
oh,
it,
thank
baby.
you.
Slop that down,
Thanks,
dude.
Will.
Yeah, dude. Crack
Will's
one
mom.
for the
Thanks,
big
Will's mom.
boy.
We always
So
appreciate
fun.
you on stream.
We do. Thank you for the donation.
Sorry about that one time we had a character named Karen and you were watching stream. Sorry about that.
She's dead now, so
She's dead.
she
Did
is
we kill
not
her?
dead.
Oh God, she is.
she maybe hasn't been born yet.
There you
Okay,
go.
yes,
She
okay,
is unalive.
in this,
in
this
the pre-
timeline where we're at right now, technically speaking,
Does
that
not
character has
exist.
not been born yet. So,
Where's your girl child?
Where's your child? Okay. I love how she's blaming that on you as though I am not the one that is actually writing this game.
She does. I say this with all of the affection in the world. She doesn't know how this works. So
Every once in a while, I try to explain it to my Andy's parents, and they just go, "Huh? That's nice, sweetie."
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I have no excuse, but I'm a second generation tabletop gamer. So my mom does not understand how this system works. But she understands the basic concept. Just
That's good.
yeah.
Is she like, but where's the Thaco? I don't understand.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
very much. She's recently gotten into 5e D&D after her previous experience being entirely first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
What did she think of it? Do we want to know?
It is her opinion is that it is a lot, and I cannot fault her for that. I think that's an accurate assessment.
5e is a lot?
5e is a lot, yeah.
And she was a 2e?
First 1e.
Oh, one. Okay, yeah. So she
Yeah, compared to
never
1E.
got to like 3.5 or anything where it was just
No,
like
no.
18 books that you had at the table.
Skips directly from 1e to 5e.
Oh,
I was
okay,
gonna say
yeah.
that's the real question: is 1E basic or is 1E AD&D?
1e is this case is AD&D first edition.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
The 1979 edition, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have their old books on a shelf over there.
I have an important question for fundraising. Can we get her to run a game for us in some way of the classic D&D and just watch us all flail in classic D&D?
I'll tell you what. We'll put a pin in that, and
You don't want to watch
Cheers.
the try to figure out our audio situation, and us try to figure out classic Dungeons and Dragons.
Damn it, Heather! There's only one mom on this stream.
Okay.
there's only room for one mom on this channel.
True. It's Will. He always plays the mom character.
Oh yeah, true. Julian is a mom.
You're just constantly trying to keep us from the chaos. I don't know what's going. It's like the opposite of how you friend in real life.
Yeah, harsh but fair.
Real life, you're like, you seem like a chaos engine. Let's go get more coffee in you.
Yeah.
All right.
And on that note,
Sorry, continue.
no, you're good. A meeting of two very different personalities on this dock on the Alolan Islands decades ago. The jetty is a riot of activity. Uniformed men, women, and Pokemon all jostle with each other as they move frantically about their tasks. Amidst all of it, still in the ocean of movement are two people. Professor Edgar Esper and Lieutenant Peggy DeWick. Lieutenant, you've been pulled out of your unit for a special assignment, something you're not particularly happy about. You were told that it was vital to the war, though, and that you'd be working with a special weapons expert. Yet the person standing before you in a patchy lab coat, dragging a bulging suitcase down the dock, looks completely lost and bewildered. Not exactly what you were promised. Professor, for your part, you're a little surprised to be here yourself. you've been studying the pocket monster phenomenon ever since they first appeared and upended civilization. But your work is almost all theory. The strange convergence of parapsychology and cryptobiology that make them what they are. No real military applications to speak of. You don't even really approve of the combat deployment of pocket monsters at all. But here you are.
So we're down at the docks.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm picturing, so what Edgar looks like is he's kind of like got must brown hair, and it's windblown, but in that way that it kind of like implies it's unruly just normally, and he might not care too much about it. But the beard is just very kempt. It's very nicely like groomed, but everything's kind of graying, and he does look tired in that way. A lot of people have just been looking tired throughout the war. Like everybody just looks a little wrung out and stressed, and like they're carrying a lot of weight on them.
And he's an academic on top of that.
And he's an academic, and he is very, like, there is just a general mist he's been exposed to since he got on the ferry and now has arrived, and he is damp, bordering on soaking wet, and just looks very sad. But despite that, and the discoloration of a tired man under his eyes, he's got, a twinkle, and you can see the beard tick up as he smiles at you. Goes, "Oh, you must be my liaison." He holds out a hand to shake your hand.
And Peggy has very, like, kind of opposite, very tight cropped military cut hair, firmly tied in the back, very, like, ice blue eyes that just look cold, and are just showing the briefest bit of disappointment as she reaches her hand out, very firmly shakes your hand. "And you must be my weapons expert."
Well, pocket monster expert, I suppose, but I'm not so sure and he continues dragging behind him this heavy suitcase, and you're like, what in the hell did he pack? Along the dock, and it's clinking on the boards. I'm not too convinced of the applications of pocket monsters as a weapon in the war. I mean, they are actually thinking, feeling creatures. So no, that's horrible. And like actually, the professor stops and says, "Oh, one moment," and calls behind and waves kind of like this, and out of this foggy, misty seaside just like materializes a ghost Pokemon that you recognize. Well, I don't know if you would recognize a ghost Pokemon. How common are ghost Pokemon to the world right now?
And it's kind of an excellent question. Many Pokemon are still at this point kind of unknown quantities. Like the concept of a Pokédex does not really exist. There has not really been there have been attempts at a full census of the Pokemon that exist, but almost none are complete, and most people do not have access to them.
Okay. So we're calling it Ghastly. I just called him Rick. But and just out of like kind of the mist almost solidifies this shape that then you can see as this dark black ball inside of a purple misty cloud that like bears like a grin at you. Oh, and this is Hoopa, and I just call them, Genie. Genie, and like out of nowhere. And this actually makes you go, okay, maybe there are weapons, because right beside you, like just a ring appears, and out of it drops this Pokemon that just stares at you.
I think just for the briefest moment, like Piggy keeps like a very kind of half-lidded, unamused expression most of the time, but there's that slight eyebrow raise when it appears out of nowhere, and then very quickly settles back into the way she kind of keeps her kind of muted expression.
They're both part of my research, of course, but I'm sure that the military will find something to do with it all. They always do. And just like, dragging it along.
Lovely.
Oop, don't eat that puppy.
The secret third Pokemon.
Called puppy.
Oh, puppy.
It's okay. It's an orange. She'll probably be fine.
And you guys make your way back down the jetty towards your shared destination, moving past lines of Squirtles in caps and aviators. There is a lot of movement of military materiel, but at the same time, down on the beaches near the jetty, it's there a party atmosphere with soldiers and Pokemon enjoying shore leave at the same time amongst the palm trees. A Squirtle Squadron, perhaps even you could call them.
Squirtle Squadron.
Meanwhile, all over on the other end of the beach, there is a large white cruise ship sailing into the harbor. Originally a luxury liner, it now ferries refugees from the evacuation to relative safety of the lowland island. Huddled masses within disembark, clutching what remains of their.
Is anyone else's audio going out a little bit for Brennan?
Yeah.
Oh, for
Okay.
me? Oh, weird.
Chad, are you having that issue too?
It seems to be kind of when you look off, like when you were staring straight forward, it's coming through very clear, but whenever you were looking away, it seemed to drop.
Interesting. Okay.
Noise suppressions.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was the OBS filters, but if y'all are hearing it too, it wouldn't be.
Okay. All right. What was the last thing you guys heard?
The luxury
just
cruise
trying-
liner ferrying refugees.
Okay, yes. Yes, originally a luxury liner ferrying refugees from the evacuation point in Vermilion Bay to the relative safety of the Alolan Islands. Its huddled masses disembarking, clutching what remains of their worldly possessions, shuffling down the gangway towards an uncertain future. Among them is a young boy without much to his name, looking a bit worse for wear, in rather threadbare clothing, with just a satchel and some Pokeballs. Ephraim East, feeling pretty hungry from the journey. Currently, no real idea where you're going to go from here, though crumpled up in your pocket is the ticket to the ship that you were given at the last moment by a soldier back in Kanto, an officer who recruited you for a special assignment in exchange for passage out of Kanto. On it is written an address and the name Colonel Angelica Dallas. Now, you only ever had a handshake agreement with this person. You owe them nothing. They never really did anything for you besides hand you a slip of paper. On the other hand, you did get into a lot of card and shell games on the trip over. And there are a lot of people, some guys that you maybe won some money off of who are not the most pleased with you. And you do see them starting to make their way down the gangway as well.
All right. Ephraim. Ephraim is a very like strong looking boy. I'm not sure exactly how old or approximately how old would you say he is at this point, Brendan?
I would say anywhere from like 11 to 13, something like that.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah. Yeah, he, I think more, it's hard to tell because he has these like baggy threadbare clothes on, like big coat, I imagine kind of a hat that's like
Yeah, I mean,
rolled
and
up at the sides.
his mannerism seems older than his
Definitely.
actual years.
He has very serious eyes, for sure. But I think the first thing that would come to Ephraim's mind is to try to get away on his own. So I think as he sees the people start moving towards him, he's actually going to hold his position for a second, like he's pretending like he's not going to run, and then he's just going to bolt suddenly, like into an alley wherever he can find nearby to try to lose them.
Okay. I would say go ahead and roll fitness. See if you can I guess so you make a bolt for it, and you notice that like a couple of them have not noticed you, but there are at least a couple of them that upon seeing you specifically bolt, they are giving chase.
Okay. All right. I rolled an 8, so I get to keep rolling.
Yeah, go for it.
10. 10 is the final number.
Excellent. We got some classic Aladdin Disney soundtrack playing here as you are bolting through the streets of this port town, jumping over food stalls, sliding underneath of army trucks, nearly getting into like smacking directly into a very angry Machoke, and you just very narrowly avoid it catching you in a headlock. As you look over your shoulders in time to see your two pursuers in turn smack directly into it, and they are not so fortunate as the Machoke essentially scruffs the both of them and lifts them both into the air.
In true child protagonist form, I will do like one of these.
And you have just enough time to gloat to savor that victory when you in turn tumble head over heels into a pair of people who were waiting to cross a busy street. I bet you could take a wild stab in the dark as to who those two people are.
I bet I could.
So yeah, Professor and Lieutenant here, you have been making your way over to where you have been told to meet with one Colonel Angelica Dallas for a special briefing. And you are near to the HQ where that is occurring, and just waiting for a convoy to pass through on the way to being loaded up into a ship for deployment, when from behind you,
bam. Okay. So I think immediately, because Edgar has kids, his immediate reaction is not like yell at the kid. His immediate reaction is get the kid up and go, "Are you okay?" Brush you off. Like, how old are you exactly?
We'll say 13. We'll say like the
Okay, like a
upper
teenager.
end.
All right, just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like, oh, are you all right, son? Like, is everything? Oh, nothing's broken.
Yeah, and Ephraim will kind of like immediately kind of like shake your hand off and like straighten his big one and be like, "Get your hand off me. I'm fine."
You sure your knee's bleeding?
I look back over my shoulder. Am I fine?
You're scraped up a bit, and you are in fact bleeding. But then at the same time, you've gotten a lot of scrapes.
Yeah.
Getting from where you started to getting to here to the point where you mostly just don't notice them consciously anymore.
Is it visible that you're being chased? Like,
So
is
that's
it
what I was
observable?
wondering, because if there are people, like if I see them like rounding the alley or something, and then I notice that there's somebody here in military dress,
Hmm.
then I'm gonna try to ingratiate myself and stick around for a
Yeah,
bit.
so you do see after a moment your two pursuers stumble out of the alleyway and look around for you, though it also does look like they are because they look around for you, but they also look back down the alley again as though something is in turn chasing them.
I think Peggy gets up and kind of like dusts herself off, straightens her uniform, and while Edgar's like checking on Ephraim, she is looking the direction that this boy came barreling from
Mhm.
to figure out what was making him run so fast.
You immediately clock these two sketchy characters. You it's they stick out like sore thumbs. They're obviously freshly arrived refugees. You also notice that they have a rough air about them. Like you've been in some bar brawls here, on base. Like you know how to take care of yourself. You know how to spot characters who are looking for a fight. And that's definitely these two.
What'd you do to upset them?
Ephraim, not hesitating for a second, says, "Not a thing, miss. I guess some people out here are just desperate enough to come after children, you know?"
Yeah.
Well, tell you what, why don't we go this way? I'm sure there's an alternate way around, and like instead of
Yeah.
waiting for the light to change, I'm just gonna start
At this
ushering
point, yeah, the convoy has passed through, and the MP that is directing traffic is actually like furiously tweeting his whistle at all of you and like waving you across the street.
Uh,
I think Peggy just glares at him like
Stops
halfway through a
mid-whistle.
whistle blow.
And he ceases whistling and gently gestures you guys to cross the street.
Just nods and starts to walk across.
Don't worry, I'm pretty sure she'll just shoot them if they try anything. So let's walk. Like it just like drags the
Come
the
along,
suitcase.
weapons expert and perfectly innocent child.
I think in effort to find a justification for why Ephraim has to stay with these two, he will, as they're walking, say to Peggy, "By any chance, miss, do you know a Colonel Dallas?"
You're in luck. That's who we're headed to see.
Oh, is it?
Perfect.
Oh.
I was told to find her when I got here.
Are your
Yeah.
Pokemon out right now? Is it? Are my Pokemon the only ones out right now?
I think so. Mine are not out.
Okay.
Mine are not nearby or observable right now.
Okay. All right, fair enough. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue dragging this while you two talk in front of me.
Say, mister, what's in the suitcase?
Oh, well, it's equipment, really. It's a new field of study, really. Like the Pokemon connection between the psionic wave and interdimensional travel and really, I mean, ghost smoke. And I'm just going to start rambling about this topic until someone tells me to be quiet, or you guys get it far enough ahead of me while I'm like thinking about it and dragging the suitcase.
Gosh, it looks awful heavy. You want a hand with that?
Oh, well, you're not a porter. You are here to see the general too. I mean, that wouldn't. I mean, yes, it is quite heavy, but I don't want to put you out.
I don't mind. My parents always taught me to respect my elders.
I have not managed to teach that to my girls. I'm going to be quite honest to you. How did they teach you that? Is there a trick to it?
I think that Ephraim kind of goes quiet and like stares at the ground as they're walking.
Okay, not good memories then. Well, no, I mean, I can probably handle this. I mean, I got it all the way here. But where are you from? Why don't you just you can help me and we can have a chat. Like,
Yeah, he will go to help you, and as he does so, he'll start talking and say, from Vermilion City, do you know it?
oh, I think I've been once. There was a conference there some years ago. A professor spoke about Preolithic Pokemon. But that was quite some time. How long ago were you there?
Probably what, like a week? I don't know how long the boat ride was, but probably not very
Oh.
long.
Yeah.
So this is your first trip out of your hometown.
It sure is.
That's so exciting for you. What do you want to see first? Like, very clearly treating it like it's a pleasure cruise and not a war that we're all in the middle of.
I mean, gosh, there's just so much around. I don't know where to start. I literally don't know where to start.
Well, I'm sure there'll be more to see once the fog clears up and the rain and there's always weekend trips on the ferry to some of the other islands and
So,
well,
Peggy, you know from having been stationed here on Alola a couple of times, you were on the wet side of the island. This rain is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
we
I
can
think
we could get a
she-
jeep, explore the island.
I think she just kind of under her breath observe, like everyone can hear it, but it's certainly not like loud. When you're like, when the rain clears up, she's like, yeah, when the rain clears up.
And it's around the time that you
When-
reach a large encampment of tents that is adjacent to one of the hotels in town that has been commandeered as a military HQ. And ducking your way underneath the tarps, finally you find yourself under the shelter of a tent with a large desk in it, behind which sits a woman in military uniform with a avian. You, you would swear that it was an eagle, but it also kind of looks like a Pidgeot on each epaulette.
Oh, what if-
Stands to attention, salutes.
I'm like this close to the bird, like just looking at it and examining. What a fascinating variance.
Lieutenant, glad you could make it. All right, I see that you found the professor, and she sort of looks at Ephraim, kind of narrows her eyes a little. And you are?
Ephraim East, Your Honor.
Ah, I see. Yes, I got a cable from Captain Peacebody in point per million.
Did he give me a message or anything to give her?
No, he said for you to report to her.
Okay.
In essence, what occurred was that he asked if you would be interested in basically acting as a guide for this assignment due to your familiarity with the Kanto region. To what degree you may or may not have exaggerated your qualifications for that job, I will put entirely in your court.
Feels like a lot.
Yep. I'm glad to see that you made it safely, young man. Unfortunately, a lot of the refugee ferries have not been so lucky. Um, Unfortunately, the one that immediately followed you, I regret to inform you, sank with all hands, including Captain Peacebody. I'm sorry if you two were close.
That's
Take off my wet hat. Just my chest.
that's too bad. Seemed like a good man.
Well, if nothing else, now that you all are here and get you guys out of the wet, please absolutely stop by the canteen, get yourself some grub. We can put you up in some quarters in the hotel here for tonight, and there's going to be a briefing at 1700 this evening.
Well, will my lab be here, or is there someone to show me where I can set up my equipment, or?
You won't be setting up your equipment here, I'm afraid. But we can get into that during the briefing. In the meantime, get some sleep, get some food. Starting tomorrow, you guys are gonna have a long trip.
Oh, all right. And just like flops the wet hat back on their head and follows whoever it is out to our tent to get dry and hopefully get some food. Once we've got all that like settled out and stuff, does everybody sit down together? Are we gonna do a get to know each other, or just want to go straight into adventure?
Once you guys, you were shown, you guys have some. I would say she said rooms plural, but in fact it is one room. There, things are very overcrowded in Alola right now. So they put you all in one room. Which, though, based on the accommodations, it could be worse. It looks like there is a fourth bed that has been crammed in there as well that is currently unoccupied that your motion is using as a shelf. So, and then there's the question of you guys peel off to go down to the canteen, where it's not fantastic food, but it is plentiful, and question of whether you guys eat together or separately.
I think
and whether or not anybody is going to have anybody who has not been explicitly ordered to be here is going to have any second thoughts about whether or not they want to follow through with this.
Yeah, have you been told what you're getting paid to be here?
I'm not sure pay was ever discussed. I think it was like, sounds like it was like you get a ticket to get on the boat to not be here anymore if you agree to be a guide.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think for Peggy's part, she just goes in, drops the bags on the bed, and immediately heads out, whether the others are following or not, head down to go get food. When we reach the place where we're staying for like the night, right before we walk into that, you all just see out of like you feel like the hair on the back of your neck like kind of prick up a little bit like static electricity. And then you see out of like whatever nearby shadows, a large black cat come like crawling out that just walks up next to Peggy to walk into this place and then follows her out when she heads out to go get food.
Does
that
it walk out of the shadows, or is there a dimensional shift? This is applicable to my specialty.
No, not quite that to that extent, but just has clearly been following along in whatever shadows it can find nearby, but not in sight.
Gotcha.
Wow, that's weird.
I mean, really, it's a remarkable skill. Between that and the energy drink.
And we are back after many discussions related to sugar. And
True. Sorry.
so at 1700 hours, you all gather at the appointed place and time in a tent on some folding chairs with a number of other people. These are other soldiers, looks like. They sailors even. And they have kind of a rougher look to them. Their uniforms are in disarray. Definitely not following regs for a lot of stuff. There's a lot of just like missing sleeves, a lot of unorthodox patches and embellishments on them, and none of them particularly look like they want to be there. Definitely eyeing the three of you a little warily.
I think Ephraim is going to kind of return their looks with a very serious expression on his face, arms crossed. He's going to lean over to Peggy very purposefully and say loud enough for them to hear, like, "This the best you could get?"
I think Peggy actually smirks a little bit. And just says, "Yeah, I mean, I asked for ones that could wear proper uniform, but take what we can get, kid."
This actually does succeed in kind of cutting the tension a little bit. They react surprisingly warmly to it, and there are some chuckles amongst the group as they kind of jostle one another and kind of do like a get a load of these guys at each other. And it's around that time that Colonel Angelica Dallas enters the room. And the other soldiers, they do stiffen up a bit, but they don't actually come to full attention. Though if Colonel Dallas makes a note of that, she does not betray it. Colonel Dallas is also followed into the room by a I'm just gonna say it flat out, just to give everyone that mental picture. A Mr. Mime dressed like George S. Patton.
Have a good night, everybody. I'm done. I'm leaving the stream.
So good.
I guess in your defense, I did leave that off of my consent form when we submitted them for this game.
I feel like I've just traumatized everyone, and now just Mr. Mime in various horrifying outfits is like.
I'm just imagining Mr. Mime at full attention, and I love it.
I forgot to write down my one of my lines in my lines and bills. I forgot one of my lines is Mr. Mime's dressed like war criminals.
And that point, Colonel Dallas gets all your attention.
That was
Thank you,
horrible.
everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We'll get there.
Sorry, I have a. Oh. Please continue. Yeah. That's in character, by the way.
Okay.
That's...
I'm going to be straight with all of you. Right now, at this moment, we are losing. Sergeant Mime, if you please. And Sergeant Mime does not move, but a slide projector at the back of the room.
Not me googling military. Not me googling military ranks to see if the Mr. Mime outranks me.
I'm really mad because that's a decently commanding officer. It's a decent rank. You gotta be in a couple of years to get sergeant. Or a bunch of people gotta die if it's wartime.
Look, she did literally just say the words "we're losing." Shit. She said, "Yeah, there is a Sergeant Mime and a child guide. Things probably ain't going too great."
Okay.
I was gonna say you could have gone MP Mime to keep up the naming convention, but
No, we don't want a policeman mime. Military
true.
policeman.
ACAB applies to MP Mime.
Oh God. Oh.
At least off initial Googling, I outranked the Mime. That's all I need.
What's your rank? You're a lieutenant?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, but everyone's gonna make fun of you because you're an officer. Okay. You're not a real soldier. Anyways, continue.
But the slide projector at the back of the room suddenly springs to life. You assume being psychically manipulated somehow by Sergeant Mime. And you see several photographs of devastation across various places. It less looks like war damage than like natural disasters. But the uniting component in all of them are the presence of particular Pokemon. Large flaming bird.
Your
Brendan,
microphone's doing the thing again.
I'm actually doing the thing again. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Didn't really change positions. Don't know what was happening there.
It doesn't like it when you lean back.
Apparently
Yeah.
not.
Like you
All
want
right.
that nice
Side.
close feelings.
All right. Just gonna.
Gotta-
All right. I'm just gonna
Intimacy.
eat this microphone.
No, don't do that.
We're not podcasting this. It doesn't matter. Yes, you see there are several giant birds. One on fire, one that is trailing lightning. You see other massive creatures, things that these titanic beings with sort of these flat and impassive faces, and they are just laying waste to whole areas of occupation, and there is blasted and discarded military hardware left in their wake.
big bird.
monsters of these types, these caliber, we just don't have anything that can counter them. And unfortunately, their movements are getting more coordinated. And we are pretty certain that we know why. The slides shift again to more images of devastation, including a overexposed one where you can see in the background a still dissipating mushroom cloud. That against which you can see this blurry, shadowed figure, vaguely feline, bipedal with a long tail. I'm sure that codename Mewtwo needs no introduction.
Ephraim leans over to Edgar and says quietly, "That's a cat."
It's a genetically altered second generation
Cat.
psychic entity. It's controlling the other Pokemon. It's taking insanely strong Pokemon who are already protective of their natural environment, and utilizing them to attack. Its progenitor does indeed actually it resembles a
I knew it.
cat. Sort of a marsupial looking. Just listen to the presentation.
Technically correct. The best kind of correct. There is, at this point, one avenue that High Command sees towards victory. We have a plan to, well, we have no real chance of destroying codename Mewtwo. It is believed, at least by some of the eggheads at the Indigo Project, that we can trap it in a cave system in Kanto, seal it inside. And they believe that they can engineer it so that while so trapped, it will not be able to influence these other monsters. And that might just give us a chance at avoiding extinction. We have started the opening stages of the campaign, but we need as much intelligence as we can get on Codename Mewtwo, which has been pretty sparse on the ground up to this point, given the sheer level of destruction and loss of institutional knowledge that occurred in the weeks and months immediately following its appearance. So we need to insert a team to retrieve intelligence on its creation from here. And the slides shift again to appear to be black and white archival photos of looks like a large estate somewhere, a large mansion. This, at least based on the information provided to us by a reliable informant, is the laboratory where Codename Mewtwo was created. We have good reason to believe that there may be information there that we can use to better affect our plan. But it's not going to be easy to get. The mansion is located on Cinnabar Island, which is deep within Pokemon-infested waters. We sent in a team from Point Fuchsia a few weeks ago, and unfortunately have not heard back. This is because the area surrounding Cinnabar Island has, for some reason, become a total radio dead zone. Some kind of phenomena surrounding the coast of Cinnabar Island is absorbing any kind of communication that is directed towards it. When I say it is a radio dead zone, I mean that any sort of communication, any radio waves, any radar directed at it literally ceases to exist. And we have no idea why that is. Needless to say, we have not heard back from the team that we sent there. So you all are Plan B. And that is to say, you are the last plan. We are going to... Go ahead.
That's 2 plans.
Resources
That's only
are
two. That's only 2 plans.
That is only 2 plans. We are rapidly running out of options.
Yeah, because you only got 2 of them.
Well, I mean, resources are a little scarce at this moment in the conflict, and we are, as the general said, losing. So I'm sure, committing further resources after a certain point is rather a losing equation.
Most of our forces are going to be needed to try and corral Codename Mewtwo into the aforementioned cave system.
If I may,
furthermore, please.
These other incidences, those first slides, and like just gestures to go back. These incidences were these in seeking to recapture or destroy Mew, or were these independent attacks sparked by no action on our part?
These have been escalating in intensity and intent over the last several months. before, these particularly powerful pocket monsters mostly kept to their own territories, and we had succeeded in avoiding conflict with them simply by avoiding those areas that they had claimed as their range. However, they have recently begun exhibiting abnormal behavior. They have become aggressive, venturing out of the ranges that we had ascribed to them and have begun actively attacking settled areas and military installations.
And did those coordinate by chance with any attempts by units, special or otherwise, to reacquire the Mewtwo entity?
Unfortunately, I can't answer that question.
Classified, of course, of course. Well, and is the civilian population on the island going to be here while this mission is underway? Or is there plans to perhaps evacuate? I have a very upset dog at my feet. I don't know
Yes.
if you guys can hear that.
We've been evacuating as many populated areas as we can, bobbing her head over towards Ephraim, and trying to get them into areas that are as secure as we think that we can make them. Unfortunately, it is our current belief that given the increasing frequency and intensity of these attacks, that we may be facing total military defeat within 6 months and perhaps an extinction level event within 12.
Yes, I mean just the number of Squirtles you have here. If they're taken, the island will go under. Well then, I say we should really get on with it. Yes, I think I'm going to need there's an acquisitions officer somewhere around here, right? I might need a few more things. And she just I'm sorry, he just wanders off and like out of the meeting, just like, I understand what I'm here for now.
Professor, you're going to, all right, well, very well. I suppose the professor already knows. The professor is here because, once again, our friends at the Indigo Project indicated that the particular waveform recorded at the time of radio signals termination surrounding Cinnabar Island bore a particular resemblance to a model presented in one of the professor's papers. I believe he referred to it as the unresolved variables, or possibly the missing numbers, something to that effect. Honestly, the science is all well above my pay grade. I said it. I said the name of the game.
Everybody drink. I mean, donate.
It's yes, yeah, sure. So let's drink. Let's drink the water that I have.
Yes. Have caffeine.
Or better yet, donate. Donate for the missing numbers.
For the missing numbers.
So that explains the professor. Why is the boy here?
The boy comes at the recommendation of the late Captain Sherman Peacebody. My understanding is that you're quite an excellent guide, young man.
Probably.
Captain Peacebody said that you went out on fishing trawlers out of Vermilion City. That you're pretty familiar with the island chains going from the sea foams out to the Cinnabar.
That is exactly what I said.
Glad to hear it. Your expertise will be sorely needed. I really hope it's up to the task. Otherwise, there is a very real possibility that, and she looks you dead in the face, Ephraim, all of you will die.
Okay. So that we have a guide and a professor. The original team that was lost. What was the dynamic, the makeup of that team?
Primarily, it was a tactical team designed to deliver one of the scientists from the Indigo Project who was going to be able to collect the data from the Pokemon Mansion lab. In essence, similar to what we're trying again here. Your expertise will be needed, your particular ability to operate independently of command, your familiarity with pocket monster combat situations, and obviously your experience in wilderness recon, particularly your experience during the Seafoam Island campaign.
And will we be expecting to operate on our own once we reach the island?
Yes.
Assuming these gentlemen are just here to get us there.
Yes. These men have been seconded to the mission on behalf of Rocket Battalion. They are going to be responsible for your safety getting to the island and then retrieving you once the mission is complete.
Got it.
I got a question.
Please.
You said that this thing was like genetically altered. So like, who tickled its genes?
I'm afraid I can't answer that.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. And then Ephraim will lean over to Peggy and say, whispering but not really whispering, like, she doesn't know.
Yeah.
I get it.
Let's see. Are there any other questions?
We have no other way to get to the island other than by boat.
Not at this time. The field of radio interference makes approaching it by air exceptionally dangerous. What aircraft we have sent to try and probe the anomaly surrounding it have all ditched in the drink. At this point, approaching by sea seems to be our only option. Your ship will deploy from here and will refuel at Point Fuchsia before proceeding directly on to Cinnabar Island. Unfortunately, we also have a very narrow window of time in which to accomplish this, as given the unsustainable losses we've been taking to guerrilla activity in the area surrounding Point Fuchsia, Command is planning on abandoning that particular theater within the next 2 weeks.
Do we leave?
Tomorrow morning.
All right. Well, there's got to be a bar around here somewhere, right?
You're like 13.
I know, yeah. It's like the soldiers all just kind of laugh. Like one of them's like, "I like this kid," and the other one's like, "Dude, seriously?" All right. We'll rendezvous at the docks tomorrow morning.
Brennan, what do you need me to roll to build a Faraday cage?
I'd say just give me a research roll, I guess.
All right, let's do that.
In that case, dismissed.
As we're leaving, Peggy's gonna look at Ephraim and say, Might have been better off taking your chances with the guys at the dock, Skip.
Maybe.
That's an
But
18
that would have been a lot more boring.
out of 10 and exploded.
Fair enough.
You just find me in a mess of wires.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. So at this point,
conductive materials.
you guys get back to your shared room and find it an absolute mess, as apparently Professor Esper has converted it into a makeshift laboratory. Both of your sleeping spaces are completely covered in electrical wiring.
Don't worry, I'll have this clean up in just a jiff. Like, you can actually just move those onto the floor. I'll grab them. It's all just gonna get woven in anyways. Just weaving conductive materials into a cage apparatus, looking weirdly like helmets.
Is it bleeding?
A Faraday cage?
I don't know. Whatever you're building, I want to know if Stell's dad was the inventor of like blood technology in this world.
I mean, no, I'm just weaving conductive materials to try to block out.
Yes, I was going to say, yeah, no, none of the stuff that Professor Esper is building is pulsating or leaking ichor or any of that.
The base idea is to use the psychic energy of our Pokemon to create a low-level energy field that is running through the conductive materials, and then when they are suffering an attack, that will just join the two, and it won't actually damage anything or overwhelm our Pokemon.
Damn, I guess it's pretty fortuitous. We all have psychic type Pokemon then.
Oh, do you? I haven't met your Pokemon, but I was mostly worried for my own Pokemon. I'm going to be honest. Hoopa is a new Pokemon, and we haven't really researched all of the ramifications or evolutions of that Pokemon. So it's really rather vital that it does not fall under.
Yeah, just fucking grip it,
Hey,
baby.
thank you for your donation.
Slop that down, dude.
Thank you for your donation.
Dude,
He said the
prep one
title.
for the big boy.
He said the title. Thank you for doing as you were told.
Hear and obey. The chat. Yeah, they. So yeah, I just. Hi. Yes. I go ahead and do that, and you can decide whether or not I sleep or actually just fall asleep on the ferry. Pet alert! It is a pet alert. I am having a lot of pets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a lot of pets today.
Yeah, I think. Well, so first off, I guess for the next morning, does either Peggy or Ephraim have something that they're going to do this evening before the next morning?
I think if I can, Ephraim's just gonna go through the professor and the lieutenant's things.
Are you going to are you trying to do this stealthily, or are you just like waiting until they're gone?
Keep in mind, stealthily is just I am distracted building a
yes,
ferry.
okay. I don't think it's actually difficult to go through the professor's things, but maybe a little bit more challenging to go through Peggy's things.
That's fine. I am looking for either anything interesting or anything valuable.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think surprisingly, Peggy is like distracted. Like, she spends her night writing a letter, so she's like kind of off to the side doing that. But I do think a Pokemon you haven't met yet, but as you finish going through Peggy's things and like put it back to turn around, she still doesn't see you, but you turn around to a Metang just like looming over you, watching you as you put the bag down.
You hear this like thrum, and like all the hairs like on your head like standing up from static electricity, and you just see this Metang just like hovering ominously over you.
I think Ephraim had like a bracelet or something in his hand and he looks at the Metang and his eyes kind of go wide and he just like puts it back in the bag and then sets the bag down on the ground.
Though you probably at least had a chance to go through some of the professor's things. I don't know, Professor. What did Ephraim find in your shit?
So if you ask, like you literally can just go, oh, and like maybe if the professor does notice you going through things, the professor will just, hi, no, thank you. The professor will exactly just like explain what that is. Oh, hold on one second.
Hold on one second while she talks to her dog.
I'm just getting them to stop because they're fighting over a tiny squirrel. Tiny squirrel. They've been fighting over it for 3 days. So yeah, like the professor explains like, oh, well that's actually a psychic wavelength reader. So what it is, it's measuring is the psychic activity a Pokemon engages in any activity that it might partake of, any moves that it might utilize. And like, and then, oh, well, what's this? Well, that's a standard radio. What my plan there is to, as we go into the field, is to mark out exactly where the dead zone is so that we know in the case of emergency exactly how far out we need to get a rowboat in order to contact the mainland.
I think Ephraim would have asked you about those things, but probably just to keep you talking long enough that you didn't notice him like looking for, personal effects or like jewelry or something like that.
Pocketing the banknotes from your wallet.
There is none. Like there is a surprising like it's almost certain that the Pokemon might be holding anything of value because the only thing that the professor cares about is generally the military feeds him and makes sure he gets where he needs to go. So I mean, at the end of the day, all he cares about is his equipment because most of it's specialized and or built specifically for his purposes. And
I presume at some point he comes across a photograph of Ephraim with his wife, and how many daughters do they actually have?
Oh, Edgar with his wife and daughters.
Edgar with his daughter.
Yes, Edgar with his wife and daughters. Yeah, how many daughters do they have?
I'm gonna say 12.
So many that it's very crowded in the picture, so that we could theoretically adjust that number as needed.
Yes, exactly. Yes, with
12
just
are visible.
Yes, 12 visible daughters.
12 visible daughters or children. You open up like a book thinking, maybe at last, and inside of it is just incomprehensible notes about interdimensional travel and Pokemon. And then, a folded up picture of Ephraim, his wife, and Edgar, his wife and his family.
I'm picturing several pages of these notes literally basically just being written in like the unknown script.
Sort of basic. Well, actually, so like the unknown script is written in there partially because where does it come from? What Pokemon is it coming from? Like, where is that pulled from the other dimension? Is this maybe actually how they communicate? There's notes in there about different Pokemon that may or may not interact with interdimensional travel. If you read any of them, there's some really weird stuff about ghost Pokemon and which dimension they coexist in.
Fair. I think Ephraim like stares at the photo for a few seconds and then just kind of just like shrugs and like throws it over his shoulder. Not realizing that he just saw a picture of his future wife.
Peggy's bag, before obviously you stop because there's something ominous hovering over your shoulder. I think her bag just has some basic like various survival gear, like some emergency ration stuff like that. And then you find like a tucked away like pocket that like is kind of inlaid into the side, like you wouldn't have noticed at first as you're digging around in it. And in there is a couple of medals, like seemingly awards she has received that could be worn on your uniform, but
fucking grip it,
her uniform.
Oh, thank you for
that down, dude.
the donation.
Thanks, JD.
Crack one for the big boy.
You see a couple of medals that like she could wear on her uniform, but for some reason she's just not. Her uniform is pretty like basic, and she's not wearing any of them on it. And then also a photograph. And this photograph, from context clues, you can tell it seems like it's a wedding or some ceremony, but you're thrown off because the gentleman is wearing like a tux or like a nice suit. But what you recognize as Peggy is just wearing her military uniform. And they're both standing there next to each other, clearly as though they are the married couple, but they're both just staring just in the most dead, like flat-eyed, grumpy expression that you're like, okay, I think this would be the couple getting married, and then you finally see that there's just them holding hands, and you can even barely see it in the picture, but their hands are clasped together, but that's literally the only sign of affection you can read from the photo, as they both just stare very like dead forward from whoever took the photograph.
In that whole like old timey way where it's just like
American
nobody
Gothic.
smile.
This is the happiest day of our lives.
Yeah.
I think the medals are probably what Ephraim had in his hand when the Matang was like looming over him, and he's just like, "Yep, just gonna I'm putting these back.
Mhm.
That's what I'm doing."
Yep.
Do we get a Dear John letter voiceover?
I was about to say.
from
I was
Peggy?
about to say. Yeah. So Peggy's writing a letter. What letter is Peggy writing? Does a Shokin farewell play softly in the distance?
What is her
We can
husband's
take a
name
10
again?
minute
First of
break.
all,
Her husband's name is Willem.
that's right, Willem. There we go.
Yeah.
Um.
The one you threatened to drown.
Yes.
Yeah, they got me.
If you'd like a 10-minute break, we could take the dogs out and you could write a little like letter to your love.
I don't
I
think
am
it's
here for
gonna be
this.
that detailed. I think it is
Rained
very
again today.
yeah, it's very fitting of the two of them. But I think first of all, it's just addressed Willem, not dear Willem, not my Willem.
Although I think it would almost be kind of funny if, again, they're so stern in their wedding photo, but then it's like the actual contents of the letter itself that like Peggy is very guarded about. The actual contents of the letter is like genuinely very warm and affectionate.
We
That is
actually
cute.
love each other. We just don't show anyone.
Even each other.
I do think they love each other, to be clear.
Yes,
I
yeah.
just think they're both two incredibly self-serious, grumpy people, and they love each other in the way that two self-serious, like, I think they're just kind of acerbic and like probably kind of like dickish to each other, but in the way that they very clearly love each other.
Willem, you will assuredly be dismayed to learn that I have not yet died.
I like the idea that Peggy writes like it's a telegram, even though it's like, Willem, stop. Rained again today. Stop.
Much like previous day. Stop.
Yeah, I think
Maybe on a suicide mission. Stop. Remember to increase my life insurance. Stop. Like,
I think she does include something of like they're sending me on another mission. Obviously, I cannot share much of the details, but I am being sent with a scientist and a child, so I'm sure it will go quite well.
I'm sure that will be fine.
If I return, I look forward to meeting the remainder of your family that could not make it to the wedding. I'm sure they are ... charming.
Hope all is well with the lighthouse. Your wife, Peggy.
Yes.
Sorry.
All right.
Instead of sincerely, it just says wifely, comma.
Wifely.
Comma Peggy. So after everything, can I like this is actually a thing that Hoopa can do where they can put everything essentially in a dimensional pocket. As everybody's packing up, can I just throw all my stuff in Hoopa?
Honestly, go for it.
Okay.
That's why you can't put Hoopa in a Pokeball, because it's like
Yeah.
portable hole rules.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
if you put a bag of holding in a portable hole, it just creates a black hole.
Yeah. Destroy the universe by accident. Uh,
And you would never do that again. Not after the last time.
I mean, it's only half destroyed this time, so really, I just don't want to complete the job. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm just gonna throw everything in there so I don't have to worry about all the sensitive electrical equipment going through the rain tomorrow.
All right, in that case, you guys all do successfully get at least a little bit of fitful sleep in the night before joining one another in the morning mist down by the docks, along with the rest of the soldiers from the briefing last night. And a large shape gradually comes out of the mist, a military transport. It is armed, but only lightly. Is more designed for speed and stealth than anything else. Pulling up to the dock and tying off as your eyes are drawn towards the large red R emblazoned on the side.
Are
I have a lot of questions.
sort of privately owned?
Uh,
contractor?
it was the Rocket Battalion, right? Or what did you call them
Yeah,
earlier?
the other men on the mission. Yeah, the colonel had mentioned that they had been seconded to the mission from Rocket Battalion.
Ah, rocket. Gotcha.
Interesting. Fascinating. Okay. Well, Ephraim will sort of nod at the soldiers, and at first it looks like he, has a cigarette in his mouth, but this is a 4Kids localization, so it's a lollipop.
It's a toothpick. Hey kid, you want a toothpick?
Yeah, and he just nods to the soldiers and pulls the toothpick out of his mouth, or the lollipop or whatever it is, and says, "Ladies."
I like to think Ephraim actually got his hand on a cigarette at one point, and Peggy just reached
Slapped
over
it.
and plucked it out of his hand and handed him a lollipop.
Goes so yeah. Ephraim has a cigarette in his mouth, gets out a lighter to go light it. By the time the lighter reaches his mouth, it's been replaced with a lollipop.
Looks the cancer
Oh,
stick
and then Peggy is smoking the cigarette.
Yes.
And you guys fairly wordlessly all pile onto the ship.
As we go, I am going to be utilizing the radios and everything to essentially track the dead zone, like when we enter it, like where it's out to sea.
Okay.
Hi.
I will get to that. And yes, as you then disembark from, not disembark, but sail out from Alola and into the open ocean, it is lonely out there, but you are accompanied frequently by watches on either side of the ship by nautical Pokemon that the crew members have brought with them. Typically, a pair of Blastoise that sort of form almost sort of ocean turrets on either side of the ship. The other soldiers are professional enough, but they don't seem all that interested in talking to you. They seem to have their own very sort of insular culture going on. They've got a combination of army issue Pokeballs, as well as a number of sort of jury-rigged homemade variants. A lot of the ship is sort of kind of ramshackle and custom made.
Hey, why do they call you boys Rocket Battalion when you ride around on a ship? Wouldn't you be Ship Battalion?
Get a load of this, kid. No, it's just that's kind of how our whole outfit kind of got started. once everything, blew up, got everything got all flipped upside down, we kind of self-organized, but kind of before HQ kind of pulled all the battalions together, for this whole attempt to, stop the human race going extinct or whatever. That was just sort of kind of what the original set of guys kind of decided on was the Rockets.
Yeah,
I think maybe, kind of used to be like a club or a gang or something, but now we're Rocket Battalion.
no kidding.
Got us set up with some nice military grade hardware. I'm sure that'll come in handy after the war's over.
Yeah, what do you think your boys will do after the war's over? Thought about that at all?
Honestly, I'm just trying to survive the next few months. Like the Colonel said, we don't pull this off. I think the whole human race is going to be kaputski inside a year or so.
Sorry, question. Is the war with Pokemon?
The war in
That's
this case
classified.
is the war in this case, at least as you've understood it, seems to mostly be with Mewtwo specifically.
Okay, so it's not with another country. It is with like the
It is with
Pokemon.
with Mewtwo controlled Pokemon, and also briefly mentioned guerrilla activity around Point Fuchsia, which is mostly assassins and cultists who have devoted themselves to the worship of Mewtwo, because Mewtwo functionally ended civilization.
Because fight, flight, or fawn is the fawning is one of the survival techniques.
Yeah.
All right.
Which yes, yeah. The war is essentially against Mewtwo, Mewtwo's controlled Pokemon, and Mewtwo's cultists.
Cool.
Fair enough. Because you kept mentioning like the human race ending, and I was like, wait a minute, are we fighting against another country? Or are we fighting against? What are we doing? So the situation is much more dire than I thought for everything. Okay, all right, that's fine.
Also, just kind of like the idea that you're calling it the war and declaring war on one Pokemon.
Yep.
Well, like, yeah, he brought in some help, but like,
I mean, we
it's
declared
basically
war on terrorism,
war on.
which is an action.
That's at least a concept.
I
Like,
know.
it's a little different from declaring war on like
drugs.
Steve.
One guy.
Like fuck Steve. I declare war on Steve.
Arguably, the war on Christmas is just against Santa Claus.
That's against the concept.
He's got elves. He's got reindeer. He's got horses.
We're defending the
That
lines
he
of
controls.
Halloween and I guess Thanksgiving. Really, I just want the food. I don't actually care for the holiday.
Yeah, I guess that true. That can make it valid. What is the extent? Is it like Mewtwo and the legendary birds, or does he have like armies of Pokemon that he's controlling?
Armies of Pokemon, and then also Pokemon trainers who are loyal to him.
Okay.
He's got binders full of Pokemon.
Binders full of Pokemon. Binders full of cultists.
You know what? You get a couple of good cultists. I'm playing this game right now, actually. It's called Honey, I Joined a Cult. If you get a couple of good cultists, they just run the whole thing for you, really.
I don't know if you're vamping right now or if you're in a game called Honey, I Joined a Cult.
I am, in fact, in a game. It's actually a game. It's a Steam game called Honey, I Joined a Cult. So,
I see.
I watch a lot of like stuff about Scientology and like Nexium and all of those cults. So it's
noted Scientologist Mewtwo.
I was like, how long could this be?
Xenu confirmed.
It is.
But so yeah, it's a fairly long sea voyage. So kind of how are you guys keeping yourselves busy?
Poring over maps of the island and discussing with the prior scouts and people where the sections of or types of Pokemon were living and habitating before this whole situation.
I'm paying as much attention to those map talks as I can to try to get an idea of the region, since I'm supposed to be the guide. And I've definitely never been there before. But when Ephraim's not doing that, I think people can catch him like training with his Pokemon or playing with his Pokemon that he's letting out of the balls periodically. He has 3 of them, but he only ever lets 2 out. He can be seen training or playing with his Inkay, I guess. I don't know how you'd pronounce it exactly, which is named Finn, or oh god, what is this thing called? Victini, which is nicknamed VT. But he never seems to bring out the 3rd Pokeball.
Peggy is just like training. Like half the time she's like doing her workout stuff that she should be doing each day. The rest of the time she's listening in on the map talk a little bit. And immediately upon getting on the ship, her Tango Hermitang is just like literally just floating around the ship. Almost seems like it's doing like a patrolling loop around the ship. Her Luxray X-Ray just immediately upon getting the ship like walks off around a corner, and then you don't really see it most of the time. Like people might catch a glimpse of it, but otherwise it seems to like it's there, but it's not really making its presence known through most of the trip.
All right. So I think
Do I have enough?
Professor. Yeah, go ahead.
Do I have enough material to build a Faraday cage around this engine?
Not around the engine, sadly.
All right, then fair enough.
But so you were going over maps of the island and were then also probing the sort of the radio dead zone. So I would say go ahead and roll research for me.
Research. Oh no, I'm sorry. That is the wrong dice. Ooh, that is the right dice, which is a 9.
9. Okay. You
Save
look at the island, and the maps you have were you don't know what has changed on there, but you have at least a good map of the island frontier leading up to the main town that exists there. That is not super large, but still decently enough that like there are several blocks to it, and you have a pretty good sense of probably at least getting like to the mansion, like what routes you would want to take based on the map. In terms of then the Pokemon, it obviously being a volcanic island has a good number of fire types that are attracted to the hot environment created by the geothermal activity and the vents that pop up from under the surface. One thing additionally that for reasons, is that the Pokemon Mansion, being a research facility, probably has some other types of Pokemon in it as well. Since they were involved in the creation of artificial Pokemon, that there are probably, at the very least, some poison and steel types there as well.
Okay. I am gonna pass that information along to our guide, but the way Edgar says it is actually as if you already, of course, know this. And as you know, this is going and just is feeding you all of the information you need to essentially be a great guide.
Will,
I
you're
can't hear
muted.
it.
You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Will.
You're talking to me about the poison and the steel Pokemon? I know all about the poison and the steel Pokemon. Come on.
Oh yes, yes. I'm sure they escaped quite early in the whole disaster. And so,
Place is crawling
really,
with them.
oh really, I mean, oddly, there could be entirely new groups of Pokemon that have just taken over. I mean, you're talking about essentially an invasive species in this area, and with the magma, while fire types will thrive, I mean, metal and poisonous gases do come with magma. And just wanders like.
Uh, Ephraim, go ahead and give me a heart roll.
Okay.
Oh,
That's right.
yes, you.
Was that Heather or a dog?
No, that was me talking the dog back.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was the dog.
That was me going because I like to
Um,
mock her with the sounds that she makes.
As you should. 5.
The professor was talking to you all about all sorts of Pokemon types and the range distribution of them, and talking to you about sort of like the poison and steel types in the mansion in the lab that seems sure obvious to the professor, and you're playing it off like, yeah, obvious to you too. But what you might not necessarily know about the layout of Cinnabar Island and its Pokemon ranges, you do know people. And you can't help but get the sense that as the professor is describing this lab, that there is something that the professor is nervous about. Maybe even something the professor is concealing.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Make a mental note of that.
And then, so Professor, and then you were looking at the island and also then probing the radio dead zone. And you were even able to sort of co-opt the ship's radar after cajoling the particular almost kind of a rocket grunt in the radio shack. To let you
I
use the
overwhelm
equipment.
him with talk until he lets me use the equipment.
Yeah. And it seems as though the radio dead zone is primarily like the field surrounds the whole island, but it is at its strongest on the eastern shore of the island. So at the very least, it is like you wouldn't be able to avoid it completely by coming at it from a different direction. But if you were to come at it from any direction but the east, it would be at least a little bit easier to get through. And based on the geography you were looking at of the island, the southern section is very, very rocky, very difficult to approach. So you would very likely need to approach from either the north or the west,
And
to try and avoid both the rocks and then also the highest intensity.
And the mansion is on which side of the?
The mansion is sort of in the northwestern part of the city.
Okay. Then, yeah. Which area do you think, given that the field is really encompassed most strongly on this end, which area, and of course the mansion, as you know, is right here. Which area should we make land in? I'm not really a seafaring man. I'm asking you from.
I do think. Would east? You said the east is probably too dangerous.
It's where the strongest, the strongest signal block is. So like it's where if there were an origin point for like whatever's blocking signal, it's probably around there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could avoid that. That would make sense. But on the other hand, don't you want to know what it is?
Well, not if it's Mewtwo, really. This is supposed to be an information gathering mission and to go to the mansion and sort of obtain the research notes, the information on his creation and um, such.
Can I make a heart roll to try to confirm, I guess, a theory? Like, I don't know, see how convicted I am in it or something?
Sure.
Okay. My theory is that if this is where Mewtwo was like created, he probably doesn't have a lot of fond memories attached to it and wouldn't want to hang out nearby.
I mean, yeah, no, I feel like you're also particularly given your own sort of loose kind of psychic ability, um, and also sort of especially also as someone who is already somewhat psychic, you were always somewhat aware of the presence of Mewtwo. Like you're not always aware that is necessarily Mewtwo, but there is a sort of a vague sense of ominous dread that you can put a geographic pinpoint to, uh, and yeah, you would guess that it seems like the direction that you were heading in is not in the direction where you feel that ominous dread emanating from, and you feel kind of instinctively like probably this place is some place that it would want to avoid.
Yeah, I don't think it's Mewtwo.
Well, yeah, I mean, our mission is. Did I misunderstand the brief? Weren't we on a fact finding mission for
No,
to
yeah, but
to
I'm just saying, I think east is the way to go.
you want to go towards Mewtwo?
No, I don't think that's Mewtwo.
Well, the mansion is northwest and east is the signal block. So the mansion is our objective, correct? I hold on. Let me get the lieutenant. Perhaps I misunderstood the briefing. So I'm gonna pull in our wonderful, authoritative Lieutenant Peggy.
I mean, kid's the guide. Why do you think east?
Is the objective the mansion?
Well, I mean, east is the fastest way to like land on the island, essentially, and then we can get to the mansion from there.
That is true. Geographically speaking, east would probably be the eastern shore has the easiest landing points. But it also happens to be where the area of radio distortion is the strongest.
Yeah,
And
but I don't think
have the
radio...
furthest we would have to go over land in order to get to our objective site, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think the radio distortion is Mewtwo, is my point. And I think it could be worth, if it's a fact-finding mission we're after, it could be worth trying to figure out what it is. The Colonel even said it has something to do with your, I don't know, what did she call it? Your pissing numbers?
The missing Oh goodness, Mewtwo has made contact with the missing numbers.
Well, she didn't say that, but she said the radio distortion along the coast has something to do with that.
Oh.
I don't think Mewtwo's on the island at all, to be honest with you. I don't think he'd want to be there.
Well, this is a conflict. Obviously, one of the keys to finding Mewtwo's weaknesses would be in understanding Mewtwo's creation, and all of those secrets will be hidden in the mansion, of course. However, if the distortion is in fact coming from missing numbers, well, that is a problem of a larger sort.
At this point, I would like to try to read the professor's mind to see what he is hiding.
Is this
Okay.
do we both roll, or do you just roll? What are we doing?
Good question. I'm gonna say okay. So
How does opposed rolls work?
Ephraim, go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll your psychic ability.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say
Heart?
I'm gonna say yeah, heart. Let's go with heart.
I only got a 3, so I fail.
I got a 7. You super fail.
I only could have
am
rolled
a-
over a 7 if
no.
I aced, so
I mean, I honestly do think I'm not that difficult to read as a person, but like you could just be like,
I would say that you were not able to divine the specific thing the professor is nervous about or is hiding. But it does confirm your suspicion that there is still definitely something about the mansion that the professor is not comfortable with and that the professor has not disclosed.
I am not comfortable with any of this. There are missing numbers on this island. That's super bad. There YouTube's origin point is on this island. That's also super bad.
Professor, are these missing numbers dangerous?
Oh, I don't believe I can actually quantify how dangerous the missing numbers are. They're connected to catastrophic events throughout history, and if one has been drawn here or has fallen under the control of Mewtwo, well, that would be worst case scenario, doesn't quite cover it.
Then we'll land from the north.
And it is around that time that pretty much just you come to that conclusion that you actually start hearing some blaring klaxons on the ship. And there is rapid activities. The soldiers begin running to man battle stations.
So Matang defaults to patrol, and is psychic. I'd like to think that Peggy has that basically set up that when Tango is patrolling around, if something happens, he can basically send a little psychic like kind of signal to her. Is he sending me anything?
Yes, Tango is sending you. You actually got it like just slightly before, like an instant before the actual klaxon started going off. The threat ping from Tango.
I think. Well, so like a second before those go off, Peggy just turns and is heading out the door, and then the alarm's set.
And you rush out to the side, and as crewmen are manning battle stations, and some are seeming to direct orders to the Blastoises in the water, you can see out on the horizon, just barely, but getting larger, a large number of fins, very large fins.
what is that? Does anybody know? Does anybody answer me?
And one of the crewmen,
Could be a research roll.
actually, I was one of the crewmen chimes in. That's Sharpedo out there.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Show me the way to go home, boom, boom. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. Had a little drink about an hour ago and it went straight to my head.
You actually hear another klaxon go off, and you hear someone shout, "We got another one!" And sure enough, from on the other side of the boat, you also see another approaching pack of Sharpedo.
That
I
doesn't
would
seem
like
good.
I would like to have X-Ray try and use Thunderwave into the water. Water conducts
Ooh.
electricity
Hmm.
to try and just lock up a bunch of Sharpedo.
Okay, go for it.
Would you classify this as a battle, or is this sort of an
Not.
interstitial?
This is an interstitial at this point.
Okay.
I'll sing again.
That is a 9.
Okay. Looks like fires off an arc of electricity into the water that bounces almost like a skipping stone, radiating out these ripples and creating an almost kind of protective field along one side of the boat. Um, you see at least one of the fins break off and sink beneath the waves, and the other fins are sort of kept at bay and have to adjust their arc. The other school is still heading directly towards you guys.
Can I pull out? I will throw one of my Pokeballs and choose Finn, who is my Inky. And this little floating squid-like creature appears, very adorable, in the air next to me, and Ephraim's gonna say, "Finn, those things are pretty good at swimming. Let's see how they fly." And Finn is gonna use Topsy Turvy,
Mhm.
which is a dark move that only Inkies can use.
Mhm.
And technically, what it does is all stat changes affecting the target turn topsy turvy and become the opposite of what they were. I would like to see if Inky could use this to basically make the sharks be in the air instead of the water. The Sharpedos, rather.
Okay. Go ahead and roll it.
Okay. That's an 8 total.
Okay. It doesn't. You don't make them like fly out of the water, but the other school, like they were in a surprisingly tight formation, and that formation goes out the window as several of them start doing like barrel rolls in the water. One of them briefly sort of flies into the air. Before landing back in the water, and the school is definitely disoriented, uh, and their approach is much less orderly. Um, a couple of them start getting picked off by the Blastoise patrolling alongside that levels its cannons towards them and begins firing off flash cannons at them. And at this point, one of the crewmen actually walks up to Peggy. Lieutenant, I think we might have a situation.
Beyond the Sharpedo?
This is just the tip of it. We're starting to pick up on radar several more packs of Sharpedo converging on our position. I don't know how they knew where we were, but they're all coming for us.
Should have gone east. I told you to go east.
Where are we right now? Like, have we made it around the island?
You are at this point. You stopped briefly at Point Fuchsia to refuel, and you are on your way towards Cinnabar, cutting
We
north.
haven't even come
Go ahead.
within range yet.
No, not yet. You are currently cutting north over the sea foams towards Cinnabar.
Uh,
In the interests of completing the mission, I propose that we put your team in a speedboat while we try to draw off the packs.
You think that is what gives us the best chance, then that's what we'll do.
I think at this point, if you stay on the ship, that you don't stand a great chance of making it to the island. And first part of our mission is making sure that we get you there. And that's what I'm going to do.
Okay,
Now,
yeah, but if they come after us, I'd argue we don't have a great chance of getting to the island either.
I think that we're going to be the more tempting target. And we're going to do our level best to keep their attention focused on us. We're going to keep
Well,
we're going to keep them off your back.
Well, you are the game master, so.
Yeah. All right. I'll get the others and get our stuff. Thank you.
Can't necessarily make any promises we're going to be able to meet you at the extraction point, but we're sure as hell going to try, right, boys? And there is a little bit of a cheer that goes up from the assorted grizzled crewmen.
Since they
the-
decided to be so nice, I'm not going to give them any shit for deciding to bring water Pokemon for a situation where they exclusively expected to be attacked by water Pokemon.
They know Flash Cannon. They've been using Flash Cannon. I think that's an electric move, isn't it?
It's actually a steel type move.
Never mind that.
Yeah.
That's useless.
Yeah. It's at least type neutral.
Yeah.
Better than water cannons, but still, like,
I mean, if they had brought fire and actually made it to the island, that would have been worse too. So.
I brought fire.
I don't think they
Yeah.
would have brought. If they brought fire, I would have thought they were even dumber. I think even with the self-suicide, I would have made fun of them.
Oh. All right.
Electric, grass.
As we are getting on as we are on the speedboat and like speeding away from the rocket brigade doing their last stand, is there any kind of like cheer that they give off? Any sort of like fight chant that they're known to
Something
perform?
about the team.
Something about protecting the world from devastation. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some kind of a fight song that goes up. There's this long stretch in the middle where they're just all saying their names in order.
They all
And
start with J.
yeah. You got
Oh my
John,
gosh.
you got Jack, you got Jeff, you got Joey, you got Josie,
Jeff with a
you
G.
you got yeah.
Georgie. No. He's the last one.
You got Jolene.
Jolene.
As we're sailing off, Paige looks at Ephraim. It's like, don't worry, kid. If there's one thing I know about those rockets, they never, ever, ever, ever die. No matter the circumstances.
No,
No, worst case scenario, the ship blows up and they all just kind of go spiraling off into the sky and be a little poof.
I got a feeling this isn't the last time we'll see them all blasting off.
Blasting off again. So here's the question.
Mhm.
How late are we gonna go?
Uh,
Because I have a doggy here.
so
wants to go out
actually, this would be actually a decent point to stop if we wanted to. Yeah, I think
So
this
once
would
we
be.
get on
This
the
would,
island, it's going down.
yes, this actually, I think, yeah, based on stuff, I think this would actually be a fine point to stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where are we landing? Are we landing east now? Because you've
So,
decided-
well, actually, here, we'll get you to where
It's
you're actually
my
gonna
fucking
do-
last name.
it's my
we're gonna actually. So I will do a little bit here. Is that so? You are taking a look at the map and the speedboat and sort of figuring out your main route. And you do notice that behind you, that while the vast majority of the Sharpedos have followed the Rockets brigade, the Rocket Battalion ship, that there are at least two of them in the distance who are still giving pursuit. And you're not sure if you're going to be able to make it to the island before they reach you. But you could potentially, looking at the map, there is a small village not far from here, near the northern approach, where you could at least get some refuge from the Sharpedos, stop, recuperate, refuel, plan your next move without being under imminent threat.
I guess that's where we're going.
Okay.
So I suppose you're in charge of the mission now, Lieutenant.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And it's close going. Just checking your fuel levels, checking the engine, checking the distance to shore, the size of the Sharpedo fins in the distance. Okay, I imagine Ephraim occasionally just going, must go faster. And you manage to pilot the speedboat up a narrow estuary that lands you in a small village on the far side of the northern approach to the island. Then you drag yourselves and your supplies and the ships up off of the shore, and you feel secure on dry land. At the very least, they're not going to be in their ideal environment if they do decide to follow you up here. And looking around to see where you found yourself, most of the place looks pretty deserted. It's a lot of like wooden buildings that have had most of their paint stripped off so that the color just kind of like is almost kind of like slapped across them in splotches. And there's sort of a low breeze, like the calm before a storm, the kind of anticipation that blows through the broken glass that fills most of the windows. And the only thing that really gives you a solid bearing on where you are is that it's small enough, it doesn't even have a name on the map. It's just a dot. There is a wooden sign similarly stripped of most of its color. They're sort of hanging loosely from a chain. And craning your head to read the very faded script, you can clearly make out the words Pallet Town. And that's where we're going to end for this session.
Interesting. All right.
Bad.
I dig it.
All right. Well, hope you guys out there in chat land enjoyed. And I hope my players enjoyed too. I guess they count. If you guys watched, if you donated, if you chatted, followed, subscribed, whatever, we just want you all to know that it does genuinely mean the world to us. Everything that we do here on this channel benefits a really great cause, and we wouldn't be able to make any of that happen without you. So thank you so much. We will be back, like I said, tomorrow with the premiere of the Undestined stream. A different other game in the also fine and I guess okay small monster franchise.
Superior.
The other Pocket Monster franchise thing.
How dare you? These monsters are
right.
digital.
If you would like to know when we are going live and what we're up to, you can follow us on Twitter at Live from the APOC for as long as that's still a thing. It's right there on the screen. Or you can join our Discord community, which is full of a lot of awesome and friendly people, and is generally just kind of a great place, though maybe unbiased. We do community nights in there where we play games together off stream and also watch bad movies. Really just a very nice group of people overall.
It's true.
So
we're also on Tumblr now, because that's maybe the alternative.
Are we on Tumblr?
Oh, I see. Oh my god! Is the death of Twitter going to be the revival of Tumblr?
No one knows where everybody's going yet, but Tumblr is one of the places.
Jesus.
I don't know what to do about the intersection of this and my fan fiction life. I can't have those.
I mean, what is this if not fan fiction?
It's really, yes, yeah. I mean,
It's
look,
true.
this is essentially my own very bizarre Pokemon fan fiction.
It's true.
But yes, if you would like to get to know us better, we would love to have you. I think at long last, after several hours, that is enough talking from me. So thank you all so much again. We are going to be disappearing in just a second, but don't go anywhere because we are going to be re-rating one of the other many great TTRPG creators here on Twitch. So please be friendly, say hi, and tell them that Live from the Apocalypse sent you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people streaming tonight. We're going to say hi to Charisma Saving Show. There are 2 messages in the chat. If you're subscribed, you can copy paste the first one. If you're not subscribed, feel free to copy paste the one with the little raccoons. And we'll see you next time, I guess.
See you
Good night,
guys.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.